Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining us. I see we have close to a record number of people joining us, and we do appreciate it. We know that your time is valuable, and we don't intend on misusing your time. This is part of our webinar series, and today we will discuss GU24 and the benefits GU24 has to you. We'll start with what is GU24 and why is it being used. In a nutshell, the GU24 started about 5 years ago. EPA residential fixtures prior to the GU24 were circle lines and PL lamps. And there were a lot of problems associated with circle lines and PL lamps because the ballast and lamp are not integral. And basically the fixtures were disposable. When the ballast died, it was very difficult to find a compatible ballast. Even further problems for the end user trying to figure out how to wire it if they could find a ballast at all. GU24 with an integral lamp and ballast solves the problem. Some of you might be saying, well, why don't they just use Edison bases and screw in CFLs? And the simple, quick answer to that is snapback. They're worried particularly for people taking them out and going back to incandescent when the bulb fails or at any other point. With a unique GU24 base and GU24 socket, that is virtually eliminated. I'd like to spend a moment to talk to you about some of the changes going on with Energy Star pertaining to GU24. One of the things that Energy Star is working hard on is to put together a subcomponent database. I mention this because we have a good number of OEM partners online with us today, and the subcomponent database is important to them. Basically, it tells them which products have met or exceeded certain Energy Star requirements and allows OEMs to go to a quick list and pull up potential suppliers for their fixtures. I should note that the subcomponent database is not mandatory, but it's voluntary on the part of the GU24 manufacturers. And MaxLite will certainly have our products on the subcomponent database. You should also know that in the very recent past, Energy Star has upgraded the luminaire spec. Basically, efficacy and warranty and many other things. See EnergyStar.gov for additional information about that change, some of which include third-party labs. A little bit about that. In the past, the manufacturers such as MaxLite were allowed to do many of our own testing for certain parameters. It has always been that third-party labs had to do some of the testing, but it has also always been that the manufacturers can do some testing as well, different aspects and parameters of the spec. Today, all the testing is done outside, so third-party labs are a good business to be in today. FYI, the labs that can be used are certified labs that have a NVSLAB certification, NAVS Lab certification. There's also what the Energy Star program is calling the certified body. Certified body is basically the company that the Energy Star program has certified and the manufacturer has partnered with. An example in MaxLite case, our certified body is Intertech, also known as ITS. They are our go-to people. They do 100% of our Energy Star testing for residential luminaires. I also should mention to you that there's been a major shift in the costs for maintaining Energy Star certification for luminaires, including luminaires that use GU24 base lamps. The cost shift that I'm referring to is in regards to the off-the-shelf testing. In the past, Energy Star folks would go out and pull some products off the shelf and do some independent testing to make sure that the products are living up to the Energy Star specifications. Today that will still be maintained. The difference is instead of the taxpayer paying for that testing, the manufacturer whose product is pulled off the shelf will pay for that testing. So these are just a few of the changes that are going on in the with the Energy Star program right now. I'd like to take a minute just to shift gears and also to credit Blake Adams for some quick changes we made to this presentation. There are some noteworthy, newsworthy current events that are going on that affect us all. This affects not only GU24, but screw-in CFLs and all fluorescents. Basically, phosphor cost is on the rise. What has happened for those of you who don't know, rare earth phosphors are mined materials. The Chinese government has recently put a huge export duty on these rare earth phosphors, and that has resulted in extreme cost increases. I'm going to give you an example of that. There is one of these rare earth phosphors, also known as heavy rare earth phosphors, known as europium. Europium oxide, which is used for making televisions and fluorescent lamps of all types. 1 month ago, 1 kilo of europium oxide sold for between $1,190 and $1,270. As of this past Monday, that same 1 kilo is selling for between $4,000 and $4,300. So it's a huge increase, and it's going to impact us all, some quicker than others. For our China-to-China OEM partners, they have already begun to realize the cost increases because they're more real time. And for those of us who are working with CFLs, GU24 bulbs, linear fluorescence, that more expensive phosphor is now in lamps that are on the way to us and should be landing in July or so. As an industry, we will all have to deal with these increased costs. There is an excellent article on the subject. I've asked Blake to insert this real quick. If you could just note the URL or cut and paste it from the text box so that after the webinar you can read the full article. I think you will find it both scary and educational. So bear in mind that there are some changes over and above the Energy Star upgrades that are going on, but there are these changes with the dynamics going on in China concerning rare earth phosphors. So back to the GU24. Some of the products that we're going to highlight for you today are the high wattage GU24 bulbs for larger fixtures and medallions and indirect fixtures. We're going to mention to you that we have added the 4100 Kelvin to our basic offering of GU24 bulbs, and also a new product. It's a step-down transformer, and we'll explain to you how that is going to help you in both your OEM and distribution business, possibly even your ESCO business. We'll start off with specialty GU24. We call them specialty here at MaxLite because they're more than just a regular spiral bulb. For instance, you see that we have an A-shape GU24, a G shape, as well as an R30 shape. All three of those have the same light engine, which is a 13 watt, and are covered with an A, G, and an R envelope. We also have 3 dimmable GU24 bulbs in 15, 20, and 25 watts. These bulbs are bare spiral types, and the dimming circuit is the same dimming circuit that MaxLite has offered to the market for about 7 years now in our screw-in CFLs. And we're very proud to say that we've had no major problems with our dimming, and our dimming bulbs are amongst the best in the industry, including these GU24. Sockets, I threw this in because we do have so many OEM customers. This is just a quick reminder that we do have a vast array of sizes, shapes, and mounting options for you for your GU24 sockets. And I want to point out one particular socket. You'll notice it in the center, it has an Edison base, and it is our model number MLG SML. This product might be of interest to you ESCOs and distributors servicing the ESCOs, in that this is a permanent converter from Edison to GU24. Once this irreversible lock-in socket is inserted into an Edison screw-in socket, it becomes a GU24 socket permanently. If one wanted to go back to Edison, you'd have to actually remove the socket and install a new one. This is great for ESCOs who are paying for electric bills. It minimizes the snapback. It's also great because it's considered a permanent install to a lot of utilities across the country and allows for a higher rebate dollar. So do keep that in mind. That Edison to GU24 socket is probably the only socket that we're selling through distribution. The others are all for our OEMs and those handy people who are converting fixtures to GU24. Another GU24 category is the Squat Max. Notice the very short size, low profile. The 13 is the shortest 13 watt CFL GU24 in the market. What these products are really designed for are for outdoor fixtures as a downlight because they're so shallow. You don't actually see the light source and it casts a beautiful warm light. Also for ceiling fixtures where there's no shadow. You might be familiar with Edison sockets and PL sockets that when you look up at those fixtures, you can see the hot and cold spots, the hot spot where the lamp is and the cold spot where the ballast and or the lamp socket is.